A very warm welcome. You're watching World 360. I'm Akanksha Swaroop. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to arrive in the United States today for a 3-day visit, starting with the Quad Leaders Summit to be hosted by US President Joe Biden in Wilmington, Delaware, which is his hometown. And along with other global leaders, he will be attending the summit in Biden's hometown of Delaware. Following this, Prime Minister Modi will also be heading to New York, where he will address a large community event in Long Island on 22nd of September. The next day, on 23rd of September, which is Monday, he will be speaking at the UN's Summit of the Future before returning to India. His address to the Indian diaspora will take place at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in New York. What's noteworthy is that senior US White House officials have also met with Sikh activists to discuss threats facing Sikhs in the United States, including a foiled murder plot against Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. The meeting with senior White House officials and US intelligence officials came 2 days before President Joe Biden is all set to meet Indian Prime Minister Modi. While the Khalistan issue remains an irritant between New Delhi and Washington, what stands out is India's contribution as a peacemaker in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and as a counter to Chinese aggression in the Indo-Pacific. We'll be deep diving into all of that, but first up, must watch those visuals on the right side of your screen. That is of the Indian diaspora all set to welcome Prime Minister Modi in Delaware. On the left side of your screen, you can see Prime Minister, in fact, departing for the United States. Let me tell you, he will be arriving in Philadelphia, firstly, from where he will be on his way to the hotel in Delaware. And it will be in Delaware that the US President will be hosting heads of states from Australia, Japan, India, and of course the US President himself to the Quad Summit. Let's quickly go across to Aman Sharma, who's joining me live on the broadcast. Aman has been reporting the minute-by-minute details of this entire visit. Aman, a very good morning to you. Now, give us a sense of what to expect from Prime Minister's visit in Delaware. And first of all, in how much time will Prime Minister be arriving there, and take us through all the preparations over there?
Well, Akanksha, the Prime Minister would be arriving in about an hour's time. He'll be landing at the Philadelphia International Airport. From there, he will drive down to Delaware. This is the hotel right outside Hotel DuPont in Delaware, where the Prime Minister will be coming first. He'll be resting here for a bit, seeing a great performance by the Indian community here. And Akanksha, Delaware is the sister state of Gujarat. This is the only American state with which India has had an MOU, Gujarat government. Also, the large Gujarati community will live in Delaware. So there is a special connection of Prime Minister Narendra Modi also with Delaware, because Delaware is the sister state of Gujarat. And this is also Joe Biden, US President Joe Biden's hometown, a place Joe Biden has represented since 1973 in the US Senate till 2009. He moved here in 1953. He studied from the University of Delaware, which is not far from here. So in a way, the hometown of US President Joe Biden and the sister state of Gujarat, the home state of Narendra Modi. We have members of the Indian diaspora here who are waiting for the Prime Minister's arrival.
I would love it if you can go and speak to all those members of the Indian diaspora, because we also know that Prime Minister will be receiving a grand welcome in Long Island in New York. But let's also have it from the Indians who have gathered in full strength over there to welcome Prime Minister Modi in Delaware, which happens to be US President's hometown.
Absolutely. Came show to everybody in from and sister state of Gujarat. So, क्यों है Delaware special और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के यहाँ आने का? What is the main, you think, big thing about it?
सबसे पहले, first of all, I would like to thank News18. You are the most non-biased channel in India.
Thank you so much, sir.
And you always say what is right and what is wrong. Modi ji, he's coming here, and we are so happy. We have such a huge community, Indian community here. Number one, we are also a sister state to Gujarat, and there are so many MOUs, Delaware delegation have signed with Gujarat, and we always, look forward for India's progress, and Modi is doing for last 10 years. He has done to Gujarat also, and we wish, good luck to Modi ji for next 15, 20 years, to keep, bring our next 2047, make our country, superpower, and, he said number 3rd economy, we want to reach number 1 economy. Thanks.
Thank you. And you want to reach number one economy. Also, Mr. Modi ji's long record as a Prime Minister. How do you think that reflects? वो कैसे reflect करता है यहाँ पे? Especially coming in, what do Indo-American community think about it?
Indo-American community, they love Modi. He is a world leader, and we are very happy to see him in our Delaware.
तो जो यहाँ की community है, मैंने ये भी देखा काफी जोश है. A diaspora event is happening in New York in Long Island, but it seems you've arranged a diaspora event, mini diaspora event for PM Modi here itself.
Absolutely, it's a nice welcome we are gonna do for him. We have arranged a nice Garba group here, so when he enters the hotel, there is going to be a Gujarati Garba performance for him. A nice, vibrant Delaware community is here to welcome him. We have the Commission on Indian Heritage in Delaware. The Gujarat and Delaware are sister states, so there is a big synergy here. A nice, vibrant community here. And thank you for to President Biden to invite Prime Minister Modi to Delaware. The Quad meeting itself is a very eminent meeting. Four leaders are meeting here. So he will be visiting President Biden's home. He's invited there. So it is first time happening ever. We are witnessing a big moment here. So both the President and Prime Minister will be meeting and discussing how they can strengthen the India-Delaware partnership. So we all are so proud to welcome him to our state.
Yes, and Akanksha, I would like to take you maybe to some women also who are in large numbers here collected, and so we'll speak to some of them, and people of all ages in fact are here, and some women. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi coming to Delaware, what is the feeling here amongst the local community? What do you feel?
I mean, incredibly honored. This is the honor of my life to be able to see he's done incredible things for the country. I'm truly proud to have this opportunity, truly grateful.
And Delaware is also the sister state of Gujarat, so a lot of big Gujarati community here. Prime Minister coming here to Joe Biden's hometown.
Yes, we're so excited to see him, meet him, and we are very proud of him, and we are welcoming him with our full heart.
What do you think? Do you think Prime Minister Modi has been the Prime Minister for 10 years almost, Mr. Modi now? Do you think it's worked well for India?
Oh yeah, fantastic. We think it's Gupta dynasty or our golden age now coming back to India right now.
He's won a record third term, and there are a lot of attacks also on Mr. Modi politically in India.
Yeah, that's how we truly agree. So we all read the golden age of India, in history books. Now we are seeing it right now. Yeah.
Sir, you are also here. Despite your age, you are here to see Mr. Modi?
Of course. It's a great honor to see him. He is one of the best things happening to India now, and we are very proud to welcome him here.
How have you seen India change, sir? You've seen a lot, I'm sure.
Yes, we came here 50 years back, and we are so proud to see India progressing so nicely.
Do you think for Indian American community under Mr. Modi, the diaspora also feels, more proud that, we have a government in India with which, Americans have such a close relationship?
Definitely. We feel proud that India is progressing. We go there every few years, and we see the progress India is making. Fantastic. I'm from Hyderabad, by the way, and Hyderabad is progressed just like Paris now. It's so good.
Hyderabad is like Paris. That's you hear from the gentleman here, and a lot of women here. So Mr. Modi has always emphasized a lot on Nari Shakti when he speaks in his speeches. What do you think about women empowerment in India? Has he worked for the women in India?
Yeah, I definitely feel that he has worked for women empowerment in India. Whenever we go to India and whenever we interact with all our family members and friends over there, we can definitely feel the energy that is there. The women are energized, the general public is very energized. A lot of wonderful things happening. India is just a new wave of energy. And I definitely feel that there's empowerment all around.
Empowerment is already there. And about women, it's also I believe the sister state. Delaware is seen as Gujarat's sister state. So the son of soil of Gujarat, here and Mr. Joe Biden's hometown. So the significance is very clear.
Yes, we are so excited to invite and have the Prime Minister of the greatest democracy of the world, India, into our small state of Delaware. Joe Biden, our president, has done wonderful things to this state as well as this country, and to have these two great leaders meet today and celebrate their relationship is just amazing. We are so happy to welcome Prime Minister Modi ji to Delaware. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And this is the feeling, I think, amongst the people here, Akanksha, that people from all ages, all walks of life, the Indian diaspora community, 5.1 million Indian Americans in America, and a small part of it in Delaware, but they are the small community of Indians in Delaware is making its voice heard today as the Prime Minister comes here and speaks here. Ma'am, you were singing something with the Prime Minister.
Yes.
What are you singing?
Yes. Myself કેતકી ભાવસાર અને હું ભારતીબેન વ્યાસ જેમને ગુજરાત ગૌરવ પુરસ્કાર આપ્યો છે નરેન્દ્ર મોદીએ એમની દીકરી છું અને મોદીજી માટે એક નાનકડું ગીત હારે વાલા આજની ઘડી તે રડિયામણી જીરે વાલા આજની ઘડી તે રડિયામણી હે જી મારો વાલોજી આવ્યાની વધામણી જીરે વધામણી જીરે ધન્ય આજની ઘડી તે રડિયામણી જીરે વાલા આજની ઘડી તે રડિયામણી. Thank you. જય જય ગરવી ગુજરાત.
Yeah, Jai Gurvi Gujarat, and that is a beautiful
Right.
voice here
Aman,
of this lady singing for
I think
Prime Minister
Navratri
Narendra
is
Modi.
already being celebrated in the United States, given that Prime Minister Modi has arrived. It's already the festive fervor of Garba that I can actually sense from all the crooning that just took place. But let's come back to business now, Aman. And, you know, there's a lot of focus as far as today is concerned on Quad. And remember, this is going to be a very special Quad summit, considering the US President is going to now be the outgoing US President. We've seen he's played a very crucial role when it comes to Quad, because remember, he changed the Quad meetings into a summit level engagement, which is why I want you to share with us what makes this particular Quad summit stand out, especially given the current geopolitical climate.
Well, Akanksha, this is the 6th Quad Summit, the 4th in-person meeting of the Quad, and it was supposed to happen in India this year, but India has swapped it with the US because obviously Mr. Joe Biden wanted it to be held and the availability of leaders was in the US for the UNGA. India will now host the next Quad Summit on its soil with a new US President and a new Japanese Prime Minister. That would be also significant in many ways. But this particular Quad Summit, as we were discussing earlier, comes at a very, very crucial time. It comes while hostilities are still going on between Russia and Ukraine, as well as Israel and Palestine. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's twin visits to Russia and Ukraine within 6 weeks of each other have been seen very significant in the global arena. And we have seen him speaking to Joe Biden, in fact, after he returned from Russia and after he returned from Ukraine. We saw NSA Ajit Doval going to Russia to meet President Putin. So India is trying to be, I think, at the center of this peace dialogue, or maybe starting a peace dialogue to stop these two wars. Can India succeed? India is definitely trying to take the pioneering role in this. Mr. Modi in Ukraine, I remember him telling President Zelensky that even if at a personal level, my help is required to strike a compromise here between the two nations, I am willing to do even that. So I think when Prime Minister Modi, how today for the Quad Summit as well as on Monday at the UNGA Summit of the Future, I think what Prime Minister Modi says about the aim of having peace, world peace, because India is clearly said it is not in the favor of war.
True.
This is not the era of war.
True.
Can India lead those efforts in some way? That will be a very, very big deal. Quad Summit, of course, is very important because this is also like the farewell summit for Joe Biden as well as the Japanese Prime Minister.
Right.
And there is a substantive, I would have my eyes also, Akanksha, on this substantive bilateral meeting between Mr. Modi and Joe Biden before the Quad Summit starts. So it is supposed to last almost an hour. Many issues will be discussed. We'll know, of course, after the readout is issued,
Right.
what all they discuss. But a lot of issues are on the table for that meeting as well.
Absolutely. All eyes on that bilateral between Washington and New Delhi. Not to forget the much-awaited Quad Summit as well, which is being hosted by the United States this time around. Many thanks to you, Aman. We'll keep coming back to you. Thank you for tracking all those live updates for us from the United States. But for now, it's time to slip into a quick break here on World 360. We'll be back with more global updates. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching World 360 and we're staying with our top focus on Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States. CNN News 18's Aman Sharma is reporting from inside the Colosseum, where Indian diaspora is all set to host a diaspora event for Prime Minister Modi in Long Island near New York. Let's also listen in to what the Indian diaspora has to say.
The Indian diaspora in the United States of America is over 5 million strong. 13 to 14,000 of them will be here at the Nassau Veterans Coliseum in Long Island, New York, where Prime Minister Modi will be coming on Sunday, and we're bringing you this exclusive peek of this big venue, which will be packed with 14,000 to 15,000 Indian Americans on Sunday. When the Prime Minister comes here, these gates are open for this mega diaspora event, Modi and US, for which Mr. Modi is coming on Sunday morning for this particular event in New York time, and in India it will be evening blockbuster time when Mr. Modi will be on the stage. Behind me you can already see the Indian flag, the US flag, and that is why the event is called Modi and US. Mr. Modi will be on that stage giving a passionate speech to the Indian diaspora, for which he is well known of, and for many years Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his US trips has made these diaspora events a huge thing. There are 500 artists and performers. This particular event will feature cultural extravagances on 2 stages. This is the main stage. There will also be an outer stage here. The Echoes of India, a journey through art and tradition. This is the theme of this particular event, a cultural extravaganza showcasing 382 nationally and internationally known artists, including Grammy Award nominee Chandrika Tandon, the star voice of India and superstar Aishwarya Majumdar, Instagram's dancing dad Ricky Pond, and singing sensation Rex D'Souza, in a seamless experience of India's cultural diversity in a performance that will be showcased on this particular occasion before Mr. Modi speaks.
We Indians feel proud because he is looking after the welfare of the poor people, and he is very positive man. We admire him, we love him.
So he is one of the globally recognized leader right now. Around the world, people are following Modi models of development, sustainable developments, goals, and all. He is promoting in our country.
Yeah, we do think that there are a lot of changes in India in terms of growth and in terms of like poverty, and in terms of like a lot of stuff like development. And hereby, what we feel is that we want someone who is a youth leader and who has a young experience, and also in we want to see a leader who is a young generation so that they can inspire the youth.
मोदी जी ने बहुत बढ़िया काम किया है और यूएस आने के बाद भी यहाँ पे बहुत अच्छा डील करेंगे, इंडिया का ग्रोथ जरूर करेंगे, और मोदी जी का विजन बहुत बड़ा है. अगर मोदी जी ऐसे ही काम करते रहेंगे तो इंडिया यूएस के लिए बहुत अच्छा डील लेके आएंगे.
We think very highly of him because he's opening so many doors, and few years ago there were not so many doors open for Indian people, particularly Indian students, and moreover people who want to do business outside of the country. But now people are inviting us to do business in different countries, and it's very good now.
All right, Senior Advisor and Chair in the US-India Policy Studies at CSIS was in an exclusive conversation with CNN News 18's Aman Sharma. He said that the actual outcome of the Quad Summit for India will take time to fully materialize, but the summit plays a crucial role in building international relationships. Listen in.
Quad was formed so that the 4 major Indo-Pacific maritime democracies could better coordinate and align their efforts to strengthen the region. Has it happened? As we see President Joe Biden host the 6th Quad Summit in his hometown, we're also hearing that Mr. Biden and Mr. Modi could have a substantive meeting separately on the sidelines of the Quad Summit.
Yeah, the Quad, I think it's still relatively nascent. I think that the real outcomes that we're going to see are still, going to take some time to gestate. 2 primary areas that I look at where the Quad hopes to play a significant role. The first is we want to create closed ecosystems of close partners for trying to combat, I think, China's domination of the production of a lot of areas of strategic technology. And so sometimes India's brain power, American resources, Japan's technology advantage, Australia, of course, also has critical minerals. There's a lot of natural complementarities that we can do to try to make sure that the world has alternative supply chains for a lot of critical technologies. The second area is providing goods across the Indo-Pacific to developing countries. There we had one big opportunity, which was trying to develop a vaccine for COVID. I think that process moved a little bit slow, but it was the first time. And I think as other crises happen, I think the Quad members are going to be able to work together to collaborate to try to provide benefits to other nations across the Indo-Pacific. So I think it's still a little bit early to say, whether it's been a success or not. It's a new kind of a thing with partners, especially India and the others, that haven't had a long history of working together. So these kind of summits are important to move the needle forward and find areas of complementarity and cooperation.
How do you see India's growing role in the Quad? We know India made a lot of efforts to hold the Quad in India this time because it was our turn. But now, since it is being held in the US and India will hold it in 2025, how do you see India's role in the Quad? I would say the growing influence and role in the Quad mechanism.
It's the most interesting in a lot of ways of the four partners, because of course the United States has overt security treaties with the other two partners. The level of military interoperability that we have is far beyond. And so I think India being at the table and the fact that it isn't a military alliance has really helped to influence the fact that some of these areas that I mentioned before on cooperating on the development of strategic technologies together, on providing development assistance across the region, a lot of that is probably reflective of the fact that, you know, with the different nature of the relationship with India, these are the first and easiest ways to move into. And if successful, you know, will provide real meaningful opportunities for the rest of the region there. So I think India, in some ways, has been a very defining member of the Quad in that, we just didn't have the same depth of relationship they did with the other partners there. And I think the Quad, in some ways, is reflective of India's interest, at least as much as it is the other members.
Mr. Narendra Modi is coming to the US after winning a historic third term. And he's coming at a time when we're also heading in the US presidential elections. It's a very crucial time. How do you see the visit politically? You know, Mr. Modi coming here, he's having a meeting with Mr. Biden. There are reports that Donald Trump has said that he also wants to meet Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. How do you see these political dynamics?
You know, in a lot of ways, this is a stunning, not just trip, but actually series of engagements. You just had the Raksha Mantri, the defense minister in Washington. The U.S. National Security Advisor was in India. The Deputy Secretary of State was just in India, along with Climate Advisor and others. Then just a couple of weeks out, Piyush Goyal is likely expected to come to Washington for a meeting of the Commercial Dialogue and CEO Forum. The finance minister is expected to come to Washington just after that. I mean, to think about this pace of cabinet level meetings happening just a few months before the U.S. national election, if nothing else, it really does show, and it shows that India believes the bipartisan nature of the relationship. It doesn't matter who wins in November. There will be some nuanced changes, and we can talk about those. But, you know, we saw it during the Trump administration. We saw it during the Biden administration. We saw it during the Obama administration. India had pride of place as one of our most valuable emerging strategic partners. Certainly, it's not to the level of depth of interoperability on military that we have with NATO and Japan and others. But you look at the progression of this relationship, security, economic ties over the last 20 years, I think it shows confidence that it doesn't matter who in the United States wins the election. India's got a lot on the table right now to create jobs, to bring in manufacturing. It's the only major trading partner that India has a goods trading surplus. The impact of IT services. So yeah, this is quite a run of senior level engagements considering we have an election coming up.
All right, so you heard the timing of Prime Minister Modi's visit is extremely crucial considering India has already had its elections this year and now the United States is headed into its presidential election this November. And with that, it's a wrap from my end. Thank you so much for watching World 360. We'll keep bringing you the live and rolling coverage of Prime Minister Modi's visit to the United States. Stay tuned to CNN News 18.